One by one each male pirate left the kitchen to go change into battle suite battle clothes they were saving for this kind of occasion. Then she noticed Luffy was about to go outside, so Nami grabbed him by the ear. "Oh no you don't." "But Nami," he whined. "Don't but Nami me." She said, "You still need to rest a bit more, besides I am not letting you out of my sight. If I do you'll just barge in with no plan even if you already agreed to one," she said as she led him to the med room. "Here, I brought you your new outfit, Luffy," she said, handing him a package that was sitting on Chopper's desk. "Thanks Nami," he said, taking the package. Without warning he gave her a quick peck on the cheek, much to the navigator's surprise. "What was that for?" "I know what you're thinking, Nami," he said as he took his shirt off. "You're worried that if I fight that dino guy again he'll kill me for real. That's Luffy for you, always able to see the roots of a problem." "Yeah, I'm just worried, that's all." "Don't be," he said with a smile. "After all, you are a member of the future Pirate King's crew." Nami smiled at her captain. "All right Luffy, I'm gonna change now." "Turn around," she said as she picked up her bag. "Why? I've seen you naked plenty of times before," he said, folding his arms over his bare chest. Thwack! Nami's shoe flew right into his head. "Just do what I say, idiot," she yelled. At dawn the entirety of GX looked as though they were ready for an all-out war, as they should be. This was the Straw Hat Pirates. "Remember, kill them till they are dead," Spandam's voice said over the transponder snail. 20,000 Marines and government agents were all armed with rifles, sabers, pistols, spears, hand cannons, anything that could be used to fight against the pirates. The 9 members of CP0, yes, even Spandam, all stationed themselves in the main room near the top floor of the central tower. Naruto and Robin found themselves chained up against the far wall. Both of them had blood trickling down their foreheads. There were also bruises on arms and even legs, evidence of being beaten. Spandam strolled up to both Naruto and Robin, his arms folded behind his back and a cocky grin etched on his face. "Brat, you have really thrown a monkey wrench into my plans. But lucky for you, I have decided to be merciful and allow you to keep your powers in life if you swear to work for me and by extension the world government." Naruto just spat some blood onto Spandam's cheek. "Why the hell would I join you bastards? Damn brat." Thwack! Spandam kicked Naruto right in the head. "Because of you I will never be able to gain the powers of the strongest Zoan, the Bijou no Mi model Juubi no Bakemono. That's impossible. Gigi told me he sealed it in the moon. There's no way you can get to it," Naruto replied. Gigi! Robin thought. Bijou no Mi, this was the first time she was hearing of it. So what? According to legend, if the 9 Bijou fruits are united they will fuse into the Bijou no Mi model Juubi no Bakemono. What? Naruto said, shocked. "Or at least they would have if you hadn't eaten the last one. What do you mean last one?" Naruto asked. "Oh, didn't I mention, thanks to my connections in the government I pulled exploration teams into expeditions scouring the world for the Bijou fruits. We found the other 8 of them." "So why don't you just eat the ones you have?" Robin interjected. "Because my original plan was to eat the Bijou no Mi model Bakemono myself, but you," he said, kicking Naruto in the stomach, "ruined that plan. So why don't you kill me and just take the fruit when it gets reincarnated? Because this has actually worked out far greater than I initially planned. Now I can have an army of Bijou following me as I wipe evil from the world. You're mad," Robin said. "Shut up, bitch." Thwack! Spandam kicked Robin's head. "Who said you could talk?" he said as he continued to beat the defenseless woman. "Grr," Naruto growled as he struggled against the chains. "Leave her alone. Spandam ignored the child's screams for him to stop. "He didn't stop for a full minute. "I can't kill you just yet, Nico Robin. After all, you are the key to awakening the ancient weapons. Specifically Pluton. What's Pluton?" Naruto asked. "It's a warship," Robin said, lifting her head slightly. "A warship with the power to obliterate an entire island. I said shut up." Thwack! He kicked her head one last time. This caught a certain fox's attention. "Ancient weapons? Pluton? This guy's a complete psychopath if he thinks those weapons are meant to be in his hands." "Hey Naruto. What, Kurama? We gotta stop this guy. How do you propose that?" Naruto thought back. "First, after we get out of these chains we can enact a plan I've been making. Not to be the one who rains on your parade, but your plans suck." "Shut up, this one is foolproof. First we shatter the chains with our combined strength, then we crush these CP0 agents with our full power, then we swoop Robin-chan off her feet and carry her to safety. Just before we leap out of the tower and swim to the safety of the Thousand Sunny we steal the 8 other Bijou fruits. It's foolproof. I counted 3 problems with your plan," Naruto said while sweat drops slid down the back of his head. For starters, these are sea stone chains, we can't break them. Second, I highly doubt we can beat everyone in this room, that Spatum guy maybe but not the others. And third, have you forgotten that since we ate devil fruits we can never swim again? Kurama started sulking in a corner of his cage. Shut up, jerk. At least I am coming up with plans. Director sir, a marine yelled as he entered the room. Yes sailor, what is it? A ship's been spotted. Pirate or marine? It's the Straw Hats sir. Excellent, Spandam said, gaining a sinister grin. CP0, get into your positions, the game is about to begin. You guys ready? Luffy said, his hat covering his eyes. Aye aye captain, the pirates replied. Let's go. Fire, boom 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 boom. 6 cannonballs found themselves flying towards the Thousand Sunny. Hey, that's not a very supper thing to do, a certain cyborg said as he stood on the bow. He was wearing a black speedo with 3 yellow stars, and a black biker jacket with yellow stars on the shoulders and his personal Jolly Roger on his forearms. His hair was styled into a pompadour that hung out by a foot, and around his neck was a golden chain with an anchor on it. Kachak, he pulled out his shoulders revealing his rocket launchers. Frankie rocket launcher. Kaboom, the rockets hit their targets simultaneously, destroying them in a massive explosion. Check, the mouth of the figurehead opened up revealing a cannon. Ga on, Frankie began to say as air began to condense at the Sunny's open maw cannon. The blast of air shot towards the marine base at breakneck speeds. Boom, the blast hit the main gate. Alright, that should do it, Frankie said, but when the smoke cleared the gate was still standing but it had a large dent in it. Well then I guess I have to ramp up the caliber of my shot, he said. Frankie pulled a lever next to the gun controls. A large piece of glass fitted itself at the end of the Sunny's cannon. Let's see your puny doors stand up to this, he said as he made a circular gesture with his hands while standing behind the open barrel of the cannon. Take this Sunny's ultimate secret attack, Super Sunny Radical Beam. Payu, Frankie fired his laser beam right through the barrel of the Ga-on cannon. When it hit the glass it was magnified 20-fold. With blinding speed it collided with the steel doors. Bzom, the explosion was so massive the doors were blasted off and were partially melted from the heat. Whoa, soldiers yelled in terror as the remainder of the door fell towards them. Frankie grinned now for a small coup de burst. Boom, the Thousand Sunny shot forward through the hole it had just created. Over with the mini Mary. Usopp, Zoro and Brook headed for the walls to the left of the gate. Usopp was wearing a dark green long-sleeved shirt with pink flowers on it. His pants had what appeared to be vines climbing up them, complete with pop greens. On his head he wore a yellow bandana with his goggles hanging around his neck. Brook wore a punk rocker's outfit. It had a black leather vest over what looked like the Union Jack, skin-tight leather pants, but he doesn't have any skin, yahahaha skull joke, black leather fingerless gloves. His sharp guitar was slung on his back and his sword was at his hip. Zoro just stood there like a boss wearing an open white shirt with no sleeves and ran down to just above his ankles, red flames on the hem. On the back it said Fuku Sensho Gucci. He had black leather wrappings covering his arms from his hands all the way to his elbow. His bandana was tied around his left bicep and around his waist was a fire red sash with his 3 swords tucked against his right hip. His pants were dark green and he wore his standard boots. Look, there's 3 of them, open fire, one of the Marines yelled. Blam blam boom blam boom, the Marines and agents fired the cannons and bullets at the Mini Mary. Usopp began to weave between every shot like a crazy man. He screamed. A hand on his shoulder made him stop and turn around. Hey Usopp, you take down the wall, I'll handle those guys, Zoro said just before he leaped into the air. What's he doing? The Marines wondered. Who cares, fire. An agent ordered. Blam blam boom again. The Marines and agents fired the cannons and bullets at Zoro. Santoryu, he said, placing Wado Ichimonji in his mouth. Tatsumaki. He yelled as he unleashed a Torado, blowing all the cannonballs and bullets back at the soldiers. They screamed. Boom boom boom, several cannonballs hit the wall, exploding on contact. Usopp, Brook, Zoro yelled as he fell towards the ocean. Aim at the wall. He cocked Shusu horizontally to his shoulder. Sanbai Akira Kyuju. Gotcha Zoro, Usopp said as he drew back his black Kabuto Midori Boshi. Roger Zoro-san, Brook say, drawing solid solo bad. Pondo ho Dakuro Bahatsu Soku Droit, they yelled as they unleashed their attacks at the wall. Kaboom, the force of the combination attack completely obliterated the wall and threw the sailors back. Let's go, Zoro said as he landed back on the Mini Mary just before it went full speed for the opening. On the opposite side of the battlefield, Sanji and Chopper surfaced in the Shark sub, and stepped out of the submarine. Sanji was wearing white ruffled shirt with puffy sleeves and a dark blue vest over it buttoned just under the ruffle. He wore dark blue pants, there was a long white stripe running down the left leg from waist to foot, there was a white band around the knee and boots with gold-colored steel on the soles. Heel and toes. Chopper wore a red version of his hat's cover along with a blue muscle shirt and pink shorts, and his backpack had a strand of 5 gold doubloons hanging off of it. "Where the hell do these guys keep coming from?" an agent said as he prepared to shoot the 2 pirates. Sanji said as he ran on air up to the guards, "Give it your best shot." Boom boom boom. Chopper found 3 cannonballs heading his way. "Kung Fu point," he shouted, changing into his Kung Fu mode. "Heya. Woo. Ha. Kaya," he shouted as he hit each cannonball away from him. They exploded once they hit the water, showering the reindeer man in water. "You almost hit our doctor," Sanji said. "Poila Friar Spectre." He yelled as he repetitively kicked at the soldiers with a flaming leg. "Ah!" the Marines and agents yelled as they were hit by the fierce kicks. "Oi Chopper, let's break down that wall," Sanji said as he landed next to Chopper. "You got it, Sanji," Chopper said, grabbing onto Sanji's back after turning little again. "Hang on, Skywalk," he yelled as he ran up into the air. "Get on my leg, Chopper." Hup, Chopper said as he hopped onto Sanji's outstretched leg. "I am ready. Here we go." "Arme de l'air," he said as he launched Chopper at the wall. "Kakuho," Chopper said while changed into his horn point. "Shoot!" they yelled as Chopper hit the wall, the force multiplied by Sanji's kick. Crash! Chopper burst through the wall, creating a massive hole far bigger than it would have been. Sanji landed next to the reindeer man, ready to fight. "Shit, they're so strong," a Marine said as he saw the pirates easily burst through the walls and gate. Suddenly something passed over his head. "What the?" he said as he and his platoon looked up at the sky, only to see a large cloud burst out of some kind of sphere. Thunderbolt tempo. Kark boom, multiple lightning bolts fell from the cloud, electrocuting the Marines. "What the hell was that?" several Marines and agents wondered. "That was a lightning strike," a voice said, gaining the soldiers' attention. "Mirage release," Nami said as she reappeared right in front of them. She was wearing her regular jeans, her staff belt, a battle skirt over the jeans, her orange high heels, a black corset and a red cardigan over it. There was a blue pinwheel with a tangerine on the back of her cardigan. Her hair was in a ponytail except for a single strand on the left side of her face. "Get her," an agent yelled. "Rah!" several men yelled as they charged her. "Gomu Gomu no," another voice said, causing the Marines to turn their attention to one Monkey D. Luffy. He was wearing a red shirt, buttoned up, with a black vest over it. The vest was open, had a high collar and had 9 6-inch strands running along the hem. On the back it had the straw hat Jolly Roger, and in front it said Kaizoukage with Macron on the right side written in gold. He was wearing his usual blue shorts and sandals. This time he wore a blood red sash around his waist with black flame patterns on it. His straw hat was currently hanging around his neck. "Jet whip!" he yelled as he brought his leg around. Bam! Luffy's leg caught all the soldiers just before they got to Nami. He threw them with such force they were launched into the poor men behind them. "The pirates have breached out defenses," a Marine yelled into a transponder snail, attempting to contact Spandam but failed due to the director not putting the snail back on the hook. Besides, he was too busy watching the battle. "Don't be intimidated by them," a Marine captain called out in an attempt to rally them. "There are only 8 of them." The Straw Hats ignored the Marines as they all fought their way to the center of the platform. The Marines and agents stood no chance against any of them. Once there, Luffy stood in front of the crew as the soldiers attempted to charge again. Ba-bump! Luffy unleashed a wave of Hayoshoku Haki, knocking out 10,000 of the Marines. Up in the GX tower, Spandam was sweating nervously. The Straw Hats were far more powerful than he remembered them to be. "Jet whip!" he yelled as he brought his leg around. Bam! Luffy's leg caught all the soldiers just before they got to Nami. He threw them with such force they were launched into the poor men behind them. "The pirates have breached out defenses," a Marine yelled into a transponder snail, attempting to contact Spandam but failed due to the director not putting the snail back on the hook. Besides, he was too busy watching the battle. "Don't be intimidated by them," a Marine captain called out in an attempt to rally them. "There are only 8 of them." The Straw Hats ignored the Marines as they all fought their way to the center of the platform. Once there, Luffy stood in front of the crew. Ba-bump! Luffy unleashed a wave of Hayoshoku Haki, knocking out 10,000 of the Marines. Up in the GX tower, Spandam was sweating nervously. The Straw Hats were far more powerful than he remembered them to be. "Pull yourselves together." Damn, I almost passed out. The pirates walked up next to Luffy and surveyed the damage. "Luffy, you really need to stop thinning out the crowd," Zoro said as he walked up next to his captain. "What's so bad about thinning out the crowd?" If you take them all out, what's gonna be left for us? Zoro said, at this rate we'll only get to fight 1250 each. As if you could more than 10 Mirimo. I'll gut you. We're okay with him thinning out the crowd, Usopp, Nami and Chopper said in unison. Yahahaho. This is so exciting, I'm getting goosebumps from the anticipation. But and I have no skin to get goosebumps. Yahahaho, skull joke. Broke laughed on Nami-san, might I take a look at your thwack? How many times do I have to tell you no? The orange-haired girl said as she kicked the skeleton in the head. Oi Chopper, Usopp, Frankie called from the Sunny's deck. Catch, he threw them 7 handheld cannons at the 2 cowards. All right Frankie, Usopp said as he caught a cannon. Take this, he said, turning the weapon on the Marines. Boom. Marines and agents were knocked away by the explosion. Several Marines then charged Chopper. Guard point, Chopper said, turning into a giant puffball of fluffiness. The 6 cannons sticking out of his coat, all of them pointing at the Marines. Whoa! The soldiers said as they screeched to a halt inches away from the cannon barrels. Kaboom! They were basted back by the cannon explosions. Chopper the reindeer said as he rolled towards the soldiers. Boom boom boom, all the while cannons were shooting at everything in sight. More soldiers were launched away by the explosions. Sensha, Chopper rolled over the soldiers and blasted away others. Come on men, we can take them, a captain said. Suddenly a huge shadow was cast over them. A giant robot stood over the Marines and agents. Is that it's the Frankie Shogun. Luffy, Chopper, and Usopp said with stars in their eyes. Awesome. Up in the tower CP0, Robin and Naruto watched the battle unfold on the conveniently placed monitors broadcasting from transponder snails located all over the base. Naruto began to say. No, a certain fuzzball said. It's. No. Amazing, Naruto screamed at the top of his lungs. Everyone in the room turned to the blonde boy who now had stars in his eyes as he stared glued to the monitor. Well, I'm not surprised that Naruto is so interested in the robot. After all, he is a 7-year-old boy, Robin thought with a poker face. Is this kid crazy? Spandam thought. Damn it, I'm to the thing that all boys seem to love, animal-themed robots that combine into a bigger robot. Wait a minute, I have defiantly seen something like this before. Seen what, Kurama? Ever watch Power Rangers? No. Voltron Force? Don't think so. Starvengers? No. Bells ringing. Mobile Suit Gundam Wing? Nope. Transformers? Nothing. Tell me you've at least seen Tengen Toppa Gurren Lagann. Never heard of it. Damn it Naruto, you will never understand the reference unless you've seen a TV show that involved a giant robot. I've seen Super Robot Monkey Team Hyper Force Go. Does that count? God damn it, Kurama said, that's not the same. Naruto, when we get back on the ship we are marathoning all those shows I mentioned. Back on the battlefield the Frankie Shogun drew its sword. Many of the soldiers gulped nervously. General, the robot began to spin, swinging the sword around in a dangerous circle. Ashimoto, danger, as Frankie swung the sword low to the ground, forcing the foes to jump up to dodge it. Gotcha, Frankie said from inside the cockpit. Now I can shoot you with my super cannon and there is no way for you to dodge in midair. The robot raised its left arm, the hand moved revealing a cannon. General left, boom. Damn it, send out the pacifista. A captain ordered. Suddenly he and several dozen soldiers collapsed to the ground. I'm sorry but I cut you a while ago, Brook said. We can't have you calling out those dreadful things, can we? Shoot the man wearing the skeleton mask. 20 Marines aimed their bazookas at Brook. I wouldn't do that if I were you. Brook said. Boom boom boom, all the bazookas exploded in the Marines' faces. I already froze the gun barrels. One of the Marines picked up a transponder snail. Director Spandam, please send of the pacifista. We're getting our asses handed to us down here. Of course Spandam left the receiver off the hook so the call never made it through. He was too busy watching the battle, getting more and more nervous. By the minute. Send out the pacifista, he ordered a nearby agent. I want them dead yesterday. Good God, is there anyone here who can kill my boredom? Zoro asked as he cut down several more Marines. Sanji spun around on his hands, kicking several Marines in the face. Hey dumbass, I just took out another 20, he said to Zoro. I'm on 92 arrow cook. What? There's no way I'll let some shitty swordsman outscore me. Thwack, he kicked another agent in the face, launching the man into 30 others before attacking a huge crowd of Marines and agents. Kakujo o Tatsumaki. Zoro created another tornado of slashes. This time it kept going, slicing anyone unfortunate enough to get caught in it. 195, the cook said. 198, Sanji heard Zoro say. Bzzzt, Nami electrocuted several Marines and agents with lightning. One Marine got behind her and swung his sword. Swish, the blade passed through her as if she wasn't there. Soon the image vanished and another appeared. This time Nami was pointing one of the staff sections at his face and at the face of another soldier with another section. Twin gust sword. Boom! Two fierce blasts of wind knocked away the soldiers of justice. Don't let your guard down just because I'm another cute girl. Suddenly three huge shadows appeared behind her. Nami turned around and found herself face to face with three pacifista. Cat burglar Nami, course of action, termination. Nami's eyes widened in fear as the three cyborgs charged their lasers. Someone help me. Nami Swan's in danger, Kurama yelled watching the monitor. Sanji also turned towards the navigator's cry of help. Don't worry Nami Swan, your knight in shining armor, Sanji shall save you. Whip! Suddenly a figure appeared between her and the cyborgs. There stood Luffy, his right arm cocked back with steam billowing off of it. Don't touch my navigator, he said in a deathly serious tone. Pirate Straw Hat Luffy, course of action, tur. Boom boom boom! Luffy hit each one in the head with the lightning fast punches before the central one could finish its statement. Kaboom! All three exploded simultaneously. More marines charged the captain and navigator when suddenly a huge shadow covered the soldiers. What? They all looked up only to see a giant fist heading their way. How many were launched back by the fist? Thanks Luffy, but I think I can take care of myself from here, Nami said. Okay, Luffy said as he jumped back into the air. Gomu Gomu no! He began to throw a barrage of punches that made it appear that Luffy had hundreds of arms. Wim gatailing. Back in GX Tower, Spandam had almost literally shit his pants in fear. At this rate it would come down to Straw Hats versus CP0. Grim, have everyone wait in their rooms with those keys. Spandam ordered, and take the prisoners to the top of the tower. Head for the main tower, Luffy ordered as he punched another agent. Get out of my way. The Straw Hat Pirates were too strong for the ordinary marines and agents. Plus seeing the captain take down three pacifista in a single instant really was breaking their morale. Within minutes the pirates found themselves at the doors of the central tower. Frankie, guard the Sunny for us. Okay, the captain said. You got it, Luffy. Frankie said from inside the Shogun. Hey you bastards, get away from the Thousand Sunny, he yelled as he charged at the soldiers that were attempting to get on the ship. Boom boom boom! He fired his shoulder cannons at the fools, blowing them away. Spandam picked up a transponder Snail Rex as soon as the pirates enter the tower. Attack Cutty Flam, also known as Cyborg Frankie. As you order, Director Rex's voice said in a robotic monotone. These doors look tough. There's nothing I can't cut. Stand back Nami Swan, I shall open the path for you. With that the monster trio began their assault on the steel doors. Santoryu. Gomu Gomu no. Dable Muton. Jet. Rockuse and Pound, they all said in unison. Cannon. Kaboom! The steel doors were obliterated by the attack. Naruto and Kurama got to see the attack on another conveniently placed monitor. Are they even human? Both the child and his bijou thought as they watched the Straw Hat Pirates enter the tower. Crash! Outside the tower, a huge figure jumper out of one of the side towers and landed on the main plaza platform, shaking the entire base. The man stood at equal height with Frankie outside the Shogun. Who the hell are you? Frankie asked from within his Shogun. My name is Rex, and I have orders to kill you, Cutty Flam. The man said as a red crosshair came out of the metal plate on his head and covered his left eye. You can't handle me and my super Shogun. You're too little. I suggest we even out the playing field, he said as his body began to grow. Get free. What the hell are you? Frankie asked. Crash! Outside the tower, a huge figure jumper out of one of the side towers and landed on the main plaza platform, shaking the entire base. The man stood at equal height with Frankie outside the Shogun. Who the hell are you? Frankie asked from within his Shogun. My name is Rex, and I have orders to kill you, Cutty Flam. The man said as a red crosshair came out of the metal plate on his head and covered his left eye. You can't handle me and my super Shogun. You're too little. I suggest we even out the playing field, he said as his body began to grow. Get free. What the hell are you? Inside the tower, the Straw Hats found themselves in a room with 9 passages, each one going a different way. Each one had a different symbol on it. An elephant, a disco ball, a bear, a bug, a black cat, crossed pistols, a helmet, a monkey and a lizard, but all of them had stairs going up. Which way do we go? Chopper asked. Follow me, I know the way, Zoro said as he began to run towards the central passage. Luffy stopped him, Nami ordered. Luffy reached out and grabbed Zoro's shoulder just before he entered the passage, pulling the swordsman onto his back. What's the big idea? Zoro said, not a question, to his captain. We don't have time to go looking for you if you get lost, Nami said. Maybe we should split up, Chopper said. No, let's not split up, Usopp said. Splitting up seems to be exactly what they want us to do. Brook said I could just use my soul to find Robin-san and Naruto-san, then we just need to head in the direction that they are. We should split into groups of 2 or 3, Sanji said. I'll go with Nami Swan, both Sanji and Brook said. Zoro, Chopper and Usopp said in unison, claiming the partner. Hold it, Luffy said, gaining everyone's attention. We should all split up and each go our own way. This way we are more likely to find Naruto and Robin. That's actually a good idea, Luffy, Zoro said. Luffy just had a good idea, everyone else was stunned. I know it's rare, coming from him, but those are the captain's orders, so split up, Zoro translated. Each pirate stood before a passage. Brook stood before the disco ball, Chopper the bug, Usopp the dual pistols, Nami the helmet. Zoro, Sanji, do you guys hear wild animals coming from each passage? Luffy in front of the passage with the lizard. Yeah, there's one coming from each of these 3, Zoro said, standing to the right of Luffy, in front of the monkey, while Sanji was on the captain's left, in front of the cat passage. These are probable the strongest 3, Sanji said, lighting a new cigarette. Let's go, Luffy said. With that, each Straw Hat entered a passage, leaving only 2 untouched, the bear and Panda. At the top of the tower, Spandam let out a giant sigh of relief. They had avoided his door completely. Guess I have to start the countdown, Spandam said as he picked up a golden snail. His finger hovered over the button on its back when whoa, he yelled, realizing what he was about to do. Wrong one, he said as he put the golden snail down. He pulled out a pink snail with bright red stripes and a big red button on top of its shell. With picked up a new transponder snail and took the speaker off the hook. I should really label these snails. Slam, crash, slash, boom. Coincidentally, each Straw Hat arrived at a door at the exact same moment, and with one movement they each smashed their way into the rooms on the other side. Brook was met with an interesting sight and sound, though he had neither eyes nor ears. Skull joke, insert shake your groove thing. Hanging from the ceiling was a disco ball, reflecting light all around the room as it spun. The floor was a multicolored checkerboard pattern. Dead center on the dance floor was a tall man standing equal with Brook. It was Francis of CP0, and he was dancing the day away. Hey, you wanna disco? He said without breaking out of the dance moves. Disco? With you? Outrageous, Brook yelled as he joined in the fun. Both men were sidestepping in between the bigger moves, raising their arms overhead, making large hip and pelvic movements, and twisting their hands in time to the beat and song. Ah, this was so much fun, Francis said as he walked over to the bar counter. He reached behind and pulled out a rapier. Even though your dance moves are top-notch, I cannot allow you to live, he said, drawing the blade. Yes, it was so much what? Brook exclaimed. Brook's head flew off when Francis turned around, creating a large slash to cover the back wall. One down, Francis said, putting the rapier away. Too simple. Ah, that sure scared me. But I am already dead. Brook said. Body stood back up, his soul reconnecting his head to his body. Yahahahaho. What the hell? Francis screamed in shock. What is this place? Chopper wondered as he looked around. The entire room was filled with glass jars and foreign plants. It's hot in here, Chopper complained as he began to sweat. Of course it's here, a voice said behind him. These are all tropical plants and insects. Chopper turned around and came face to face with Apollo. Who are you? Chopper demanded as he raised his hoofs defensively. Apollo ignored him as he walked over to one of the glass jars. Fascinating, aren't they? Insects, I mean. He picked up the jar and inspected the atlas beetle within. Out of all the no species in this world, insects are the most populous. He placed a shelf. Would you like to see something interesting? I'm okay, Chopper said, dropping his guard. The old man seemed like he was more interested in collecting insects than killing people. This is my crown jewel, he said, picking up a new jar. Inside was an insect that resembled a scarab with 6 legs, red wings and tusks. It is the only insect of its kind left, and it's a female. What's it called? Chopper asked, curious. I call it the imperial parasite. After all, I genetically engineered it myself, Apollo said, and this one is my favorite, he said, picking up a jar with a strange centipede. It's perfect for retrieving information. After all, I am a master of torture and interrogation. What do you mean? All I target and it will devour the criminal from the inside, all the while learning all that they knew, and only I have a method of retrieving that information. So here and play God while you torture those people, Chopper said, getting angry at this man's belief that he could easily and mercilessly take people's lives away. On top of that, he probably leaves them in such horrible living conditions. I can't just let someone like you continue to torture people no matter who they are. He tossed his backpack off to the side. What's this place? Usopp asked as he entered what appeared to be a large storeroom. Large crates were stacked up everywhere with steel beams running from the floor to the ceiling. Like it? I call it my hawk's nest. A voice said from everywhere. Usopp drew back his slingshot and began to look for his target. Don't bother, you'll be dead before you even see me. What are to right past Usopp's right cheek, drawing a small line of blood. Give it up, long nose, this is my turf, a shadowy figure said, though Usopp couldn't see him. I am the best at long-range assassinations. You'll never beat me with a slingshot. Best at long-range assassinations, Usopp asked. You are not the best. And why is that? Because the king of snipers fights for the pirate king. Usopp yelled as he pointed to himself, and I am the king of snipers. We'll just see about that. Sanji found himself inside an indoor zen garden complete with a sand pit with tranquil designs, a koi fish pond, and zen trees. From the branch of one of these trees a man was hanging upside down. It was Shakian of CP0, literally hanging there waiting for someone to come in so he could kill them, though he fell asleep before anyone arrived. Just below the assassin was a key with the number 9 on it. Too easy, Sanji said as he walked over to pick up the key. Just before he picked it up, Shakian's hand shot out and grabbed his wrist. What do you think you're doing? Rescuing my beloved Robin Schwan from your clutches, you shitty assassin. You are willing to risk your life for a woman? Shakian questioned. That's just stupid, they're all obnoxious bitches. The only thing they are good for is cooking and breeding, he said as he dropped down in front of Sanji. What? Sanji demanded, getting pissed off. You think ladies are just slabs of meat that should serve you? In that case, I ought to beat the proper way to treat a lady into you. Nami was in a relatively plain room, nothing special was in it. There were white marble columns, a fire pit in the center of the room. On the wall opposite of the door there was a blood-red banner with the Greek letter Omega Omega written in gold. On a bed in the corner of the room, Jennifer was laying there in a long white dress. Oh, it's you, ready for round 2? Jennifer asked, getting up and walked over to a dressing wall. Nami just gripped her staff tightly in anticipation for the woman's attack. Stab! A long black projectile shot through the dressing wall and stuck into Nami's shoulder. Shunk! 5 more shot through the wall, and before Nami could react there were spears impaled her through her forehead, throat, chest, and twice through the stomach. A look etched on the navigator's face. Schwack! The dressing was sliced to bits as Jennifer walked forward wearing her standard CP0 attire. It turned out the spears were actually the assassin's fingers. Think Lust from FMA. The assassin walked forward with a smug look on her face. And here I thought it was going to be more fun. Oh well, you can't always get what you want. Preaching to the choir on that one, sister, though I do tend to get what I want. What? The impaled navigator rippled, then vanished without a trace as a new one appeared out of thin air. A devil fruit? Are you some kind of wind Logia? No, it's not a devil fruit, it's carefully calculated science, Nami said, twirling her staff. Phew. Jennifer said, wiping a terror sweat off of her forehead. I thought I would get my ass handed to me. This'll be easier than I thought. Zoro found himself in a library with a large fireplace. Sitting in an armchair reading a book was Jet of CP0. You already drew your swords? He questioned. Yeah, I'm itching for a challenge and they're craving to taste your blood, Zoro said sinisterly. My as well, Jet said, standing up as he drew a katana from a sheath. The red cloth and a golden handguard with indentions at the 4 corners and crescent markings on the sides of the blade. The scabbard was charcoal black. Its name is Harosame. That's a nice sword, Zoro said. I know someone who that sword would love. Try and take it then. Jet said, just as sinisterly, revealing 4 more sabers sheathed on his hips. Gatoryu. Slash! A barrage of many slashes flew towards Zoro. Clang! The green-haired swordsman deflected each and every slash. Sorry, but I call it Sarotoryu, Jet said, once again only holding one sword. Luffy definitely had a nose like a bloodhound. He found himself face to face with Grim. Welcome, Straw Hat. It's good to see you not only survived but completely recovered from our last little scuffle. Dino bastard, Luffy growled. Where are Robin and Naruto? Oh, those two. Top of the tower, Luffy charged Grim. Only the assassin blocked the attack. Don't be rude. Tell you they're perfectly fine, though you won't get to see them. You aren't just gonna let me pass, right? Correct. Fine, then all I have to do is kick your ass, Luffy said, cracking his knuckles. I'd love to see you try. Suddenly all the snails in the tower woke up. Welcome, Straw Hats. They all yelled, forcing everyone to cover their ears in pain. Sir, maybe you should turn the volume down, a different voice said. Whoops, my bad. Let's see, where is the volume control? There it is. Alright, how's that? That better? Perfect, sir. Welcome, Straw Hats. We've been expecting you for quite some time now. Let's play a game. Before each of you is a member of the esteemed CP0, each one of them has a key that may or may not undo the chains that you friends are tied up in. You may have gotten slightly stronger than the last time we met, but that matters little. CP0 will wipe the floor with you. No one's going to remember you when we're done here. So I'll take the keys and we win, Luffy asked the snail, his voice traveling through all the snails, echoing to all the transponder snails. That's correct, and don't try anything funny because I am watching the whole thing. Spandam said, I will push this button here and this entire base will be wiped off the face of the planet. That's insane, all the Straw Hats yelled. Au contrary, if I didn't have a way of escape, then it would be insane. So don't try anything funny. Clicks each pair with unblinking eyes. By popular demand, and a promise on my part, we the audience of this epic tale shall go to the elemental nations and see what is going on in the land of fire. More specifically the village hidden by the leaves. On this day nothing particularly exciting happened in the elemental nations. Sasuke and Itachi Uchiha were sneaking out of their house to go visit Kushina in the hospital. Why were they sneaking? Even though for them to visit, their father said no such thing. Itachi, how do you think Kushina-san is doing? Sasuke asked curiously. Don't know, Itachi replied. From what I heard she got out of that incident relatively unscathed. So I don't know why they're keeping her in the hospital longer than necessary. I mean, how do you feels about Naruto-ni? Sasuke asked. She's definitely changed since he ran away. She has changed, whether it's for better or worse it's definitely for good. Itachi replied, she's a mother who has lost her child for what could be forever. What she's going through now is similar to what would happen to you or me if our entire clan were wiped out. Her entire world was brought down on her in a single night. The psychological torture would be immense, especially now that she's with child. She needs more support now more than ever. She's pregnant? I thought she was eating too much ice cream out of depression, Sasuke said innocently. Seriously, he's a 7-year-old boy. When I was 7 was pregnant I thought she was eating too much. Itachi chuckled. Only a child would think of that, just like how most parents say children are brought to them by a stork. Wait, you told me and by a giant phoenix wreathed in flames, not a stork. I lied. Itachi began to run to the hospital. You jerk, Sasuke was chasing right after him. Over in the hospital, Minato had just left Natsumi's room. The girl was still unconscious after the beast was torn from her. Even Tsunade couldn't get her to wake up. Her supercharged healing was now back to normal by Uzumaki standards. She was no longer recovering from cuts and bruises in 30 seconds. They were taking a full day to heal, and judging by the state her body was still in, it could be several weeks before she even wakes up. Minato sat down in a chair just outside Kushina's room. He really wanted to talk to her, especially about Naruto and their unborn child, though he couldn't muster up the courage to even look at her, let alone talk to her. He had finally realized that everything has been predominantly his fault. Ignoring Naruto and said child's flight from Konoha, Natsumi's behavior, even the wounds that were now upon his beloved wife and daughter. Why do you look so down, Minato? Minato to face with Jiraiya. Hey sensei, it's nothing really. I've just been thinking, Minato said. Before you say anything, Minato, the other 4 nations have sent their replies to your request for the arranged marriages, Jiraiya said, handing 4 scrolls to Minato. They all agreed? Minato asked, questioning as he read over the scrolls a second time. Yes, Minato, you read that right, the Toad Sage said. Now all we need now is to find Naruto, if he's even alive. Don't even think that, sensei, Minato snapped, dangerously glaring at his sensei. Naruto is still alive. I'll be damned if anyone badmouths him, hurts him, or says he's dead. Unbeknownst to the 2 ninja, Kushina was hearing every word they said. Part of her was glad that Minato finally acknowledged and cared for Naruto. The other part wanted to castrate him with a rusty knife, since he had promised the other 4 nations Naruto's marriage to their families. I changed my mind, Jiraiya-sensei. Apply to the other nations, Minato said. Kushina perked up at this. Tell them to ignore the arranged marriages unless called upon. I don't want Naruto to be forced into a situation where he would hate use more than he already does. He deserves that much at least. All right, Minato, if you say so, Jiraiya said, turning around to leave. Oh, and sensei. Yes. Tell the Kyuja that Naruto is missing. Perhaps they will help us look for him, Minato said. I'll do that. It will take quite a while to get there and back. How far away are they exactly? On the other west. When I say massive I mean higher than the clouds. It takes days to get up that. About a week to cross it, then another down, not even counting the fact that there are massive amounts of water on either side of it and navigational tools don't work. I got there a second time may not happen. You'll make it happen, Minato said as Jiraiya left. Shortly after the Toad Sage left, two familiar kids arrived. Hello Hokage-sama, Itachi said, bowing slightly before he nudged Sasuke to do the same. Hello Hokage-sama, Sasuke said, bowing. Hello boys, and how many times do I have to tell you? Call me Minato-san. No need to be so formal. The Hokage said. I take it you're here to see Kushina. Yep, that's what we're here for. Is she awake? Itachi asked. Yes, she's awake, the Hokage said as he let them into the room. Kushina was sitting up in the bed looking out the window when they entered. She turned toward him, a smile on her face. Hi Kushina, the three boys said. Hi boys, how are you? She asked. You'll never guess what Sasuke said earlier, Kushina-san, Itachi said. Shut up, Sasuke growled, trying to attack his search brother. Itachi just held him back with one arm. He thought your stomach was growing so large was because you ate too much ice cream out of depression. He also by a giant phoenix wreathed in flames, not a stork. Ha 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 ha. Kushina began to laugh at little Sasuke and his innocence. No Sasuke, I'm not fat, I'm just pregnant. She wiped away a tear. Come her, she said to Sasuke. She took his hand and placed it on her stomach. Sasuke jumped slightly when the baby kicked, causing everyone in the room to laugh. Over in the next room, Natsumi opened her eyes. For the little hit by a truck. At first she thought she was in her room, but looking around she realized she was in the hospital. She tried hard to remember what had happened, but she just couldn't do it. It was like someone had wiped her slate clean after the Kyuubi's chakra left her. She was now a completely different person. Oh Namikaze-san, you're awake, a search pink-haired nurse said, walking by the girl's room. Please wait there for a little while, I'm going to get your parents and Tsunade-sama. Thank you, Natsumi said. First time she said that. Maybe she really was influenced by the Kyuubi's chakra. Excuse me, Hokage-sama, Kushina-sama, the search pink-haired nurse said, knocking on Kushina's door. The Hokage and his wife turned to her. Your had woken up. Whoosh, two blurs of yellow and red raced past her, leaving two dust clouds in place of the parents. Natsumi. Her parents yelled as the ferociously hugged her. They were so happy that she was awake. Tao-chan, Ka-chan. Natsumi. There was one face she didn't see and that really confused her. Where's Oni-chan? She asked, truly curious this time. Minato and Kushina flinched noticeably at that comment before they could answer. Tsunade came in. Sorry to break up this little family reunion, but I need to check Natsumi's health, the Mednin shoved Minato and Kushina out of the room, and a few minutes later she came back out. Well Tsunade, is there anything wrong with Natsumi? Minato questioned as Tsunade left the girl's room. There is something you said, her head looking at the floor. She has no memory of anything since she first accessed the Kyuubi's chakra. That was 3 years ago. Kushina said as hands over her mouth. Minato was just as stunned. I mean, she first used the fox's chakra. It consumed her real self and kept her a prisoner in her own mind while it had search control the entire time. So 3 years Natsumi's been under the fox's search control and we never noticed. Yes, that Tsunade said. I recommend you tell her what happened since she was taken over, including Naruto running away and why. She will really need the support. She has absolutely no clue what happened. If she and no one supports her, it would be worse than not telling her anything and her discovering it on her own. You're right, Tsunade, Minato said. Come on Kushina, we have a lot to explain to our daughter. Welcome, Straw Hats. We've been expecting you for quite some time now. Let's play a game. Before each of you is a member of the esteemed CP0, each one of them has a key that may or may not undo the chains that you friends are tied up in. You may have gotten slightly stronger than the last time we met, but that matters little. CP0 will wipe the floor with you. No one's going to remember you when we're done here. So all we have to do is beat you. Take the keys and we win. Luffy asked the snail, his voice traveling through all the snails, echoing to all the transponder snails. That's correct, and don't try anything funny because I am watching the whole thing. Spandam said. I will push this button here and this entire base will be wiped off the face of the planet. That's insane, all the Straw Hats yelled. Au contrary, if I didn't have a way of escape, then it would be insane. So don't try anything funny. Clicks each pair with unblinking eyes. Back in front of the sunny, Frankie and his shogun were facing down an equally massive human-bear hybrid. It had brown fur, a massive chest and arms, his face was slightly elongated and his maw was filled with razor-sharp teeth. On in its left eye had been replaced by a red crosshair. Rex of CP0 was the user of the Kuma Kuma no Mi model grizzly bear. The beast charged Frankie with speed that should have been impossible for a monster of that size. Boom! The Frankie shogun blocked the first attack just before both titans locked hands as they began a battle of strength. Just because you turn into a giant teddy bear doesn't mean much. Frankie to push Rex back. I'm a grizzly bear, not a teddy bear. Rankyaku Kumatsum. He threw a kick. Pressed air transformed into what looked like a bear claw. General Shield. Frankie detached the upper portion of his shoulder with a star on it and held it up to block the attack, but then he changed his mind and threw it boomerang. Shogun dealing almost no damage to it while Rex dodged the shield easily. However, thwack, he didn't see it coming as it slammed into the back of his head. While the assassin was slightly dazed, Frankie rushed him. General Boxing. He began to throw a large number of rapid punches at Rex. Teke go. Clang clang. He was completely unaffected. Check. The robot's stomach opened up. Flume. A large fireball collided with Rex's face when he looked at it. Ard. Damn, that hurt. He clutched his face. General. The robot cocked back its right fist. Cheap shot. It shot out on a chain and wham! It punched Rex right in the crotch. Just before Frankie retracted his arm, Rex grabbed it with his left hand. The assassin pulled Frankie toward him. He punched the robot's gut and rip with a mighty pull. Rex pulled the entirety of answered his question. Teke. Kaboom! The force of the explosion threw Rex across the battlefield and into the armory. If he hadn't used Teke, he would be in pieces right now. Okay, he got back up, shaking off the rubble and dust as he did. Out of the corner of his hanging on the wall, and a wicked grin spread across his face. Come to pop to his human form as he did. Outside, Frankie had gotten out of the shogun and picked up the discarded arm. His own arms open, revealing his tools. Doom. 20 seconds later, the shogun was completely repaired. General repaired, Frankie yelled as he gave a thumbs up. Repair. Tear it apart again and again, and you along with it, Rex said, emerging from the hole in the armory. He was one. There were massive mechanical arms, each with 3-pronged fingers, big enough to hold a full-grown person. A Gatling gun designed for the wrist and the outside portion, in which the inside is a giant cannon barrel, held together by large bolts at the wrist. The arms, elbows, and additional upper forearms connected to his shoulders. Those are you got there, Frankie said. Reminds me of a guy we fought a while ago. You talking about that traitor Zephyr? Rex asked. That bastard used the original prototype. These bad ones build specifically for me. I call them my bear smashers. They're gonna smash your little robot into a million pieces. Whip. Rex charged Frankie with Soru Teke boxing Ursa jab. Kawam. He punched Frankie in the stomach. Cross. Thwack. He punched him in the same spot with the other arm, denting the hatch. Bear buster. Wham. Shot at point blank with his cannon, heavily damaging the robot. Jeppo used his leg strength. Rex literally ran into the air above Frankie. Teke Ryusai Kuma. He clasped both hands together and dropped towards Frankie, fist first. That all you got? Frankie mocked as Rex disengaged. Red vanished and reappeared inside Frankie's guard. Hardly bare Torado. Rex shot the ground, launching the Frankie shogun into the air. With this time his right fist was against the shogun's stomach. Hatch. Bear buster. Boom. Way down to the ground. Smoke rose from the hole now present on the Frankie shogun. The hatch had been completely blown away, exposing Frankie. Frankie had for it in lip. Clang. Frankie managed to bring his arms up just in back, though the force from the impact forced the shogun to its knees and cracked the ground they stood on. 2. He spat as he surveyed the damage. The shogun got back up with much difficulty. I'll give, but I'm not done yet. Frankie grinned. Insert Frankie theme. I'm gonna end this now, the cyborg said as the shogun cupped its hands. A small ball of compressed General. Oh no you don't, Rex said, positioning his arms one over the other, pointing at Frankie Ursa Major. Cannon. Both men whom they collided and began the classic struggle of which is stronger. Unfortunately the Shogun's cannon was losing. Gotta give it everything, Frankie thought as he pulled a lever max cola power. More air began to compress between the palms. Super General Cannon. Kaboom! The blast quickly overpowered Rex's blast and swallowed the assassin in it before he could react. Rex was thrown into the build into GX's wall. RMM crush. The structure collapsed on top of the assassin, defeating him. Mr. Rex. Huff huff, Frank. After that final attack, that's one tough opponent down. Who's next? Frankie asked, turning to the soldiers. Ah. Many of That's what I thought. Battle in the plaza. Frankie versus Rex. Winner Frankie. End song. Up. Epic stare off. So you aren't wearing a skeleton mask? The assassin asked, bewildered. No, I am just a living skeleton, Broke said. Well then. Despite my decapitation of you, Francis took his rapier in his left hand. Such a shame. You seem like a decent fellow. I'd hate to kill you. And you're a wonderful. Already dead. Yahahaho. Skull joke. I wonder what will happen if I just smash all your bones to dust. I won't give a soul at Francis, on guard. Clang clang. Flip. Francis leaned slightly out of the way, avoiding the swipe. They circled. Clang flip. This time Broke leaned out of the way, avoiding Francis' swipe. After that, grasp on Broke's abilities. Shall we pick up the pace, he asked. Whip and clashed together, causing a small shockwave to vibrate the room. The two swordsmen had begun their deadly exchange. The faster swordsman would be. Get him, Broke. Naruto cheered as he watched the fight begin. What are you cheering for? Spandam questioned. Broke's gonna wipe the floor with that 70s dude. Francis is the second fastest agent the government has at its disposal. The only person superior to him in speed at Grim. Even at that, it isn't much a difference. But Francis has a few little tricks up his sleeve that no one else can do. Prelude out for. Broke. Swords intercepted each other. I've studied fencing for 20 years. A simple disarmament technique will not trick me, Francis said. Bayoneted Shigen. Broke deflected the attack. Boom! A circular hole appeared in the wall. By thrusting my sword with the speed and strength of the Shigen, I am able to project my thrusts to be like cannon fire. He readied himself for another thrust. Clang clang clang. The swordsman re-engaged with such speed Naruto, Robin and Spandam found it virtuously impossible to follow them. 1 second. Appearing on the opposite side of the room sill with their blades crossed. Broke blocked blade down. Francis rapier catching the assassin on the left shoulder. You're wonderful, Francis said while they continued to engage. Clang clang clang. Thank you. You know. Really? I don't think I can beat you then. You are better than me, Francis smirked. Then what? Smiling, Broke asked. Because I know something you don't know. And what is that? I am there only to catch it with his right hand. Clang clang clang. He restarted his assault, only this time with much more ferocity. Bayoneted Shigen Tiro Rapido. He shot multiple thrusts at Broke. Poker Remise. Broke fired his blam blam boom boom. The attack once again intercepted each other. When the barrages ended, both combatants charged each other. Gavat Avant. Bayoneted Shigen Escapada. Clang boom. Once more the steel song its song as they clashed. Only areas in front of each swordsman were devastated by powerful shockwaves. Broke's that last exchange. Why do I feel cold? Francis thought. Looking down, he saw ice forming on his sword in hand. What the? Skeleton, what did you do? I'm his sword on his shoulder as he turned towards the assassin. Valse Semetier whoosh. Francis felt a sudden chilled wind pass by him. Tango avec la Grim Reaper. Do him. From Francis' head to his navel, blood splurged up from the wound and instantly froze. My apologies, but we have a mission to complete. So do we. Broke turned around before him, completely unharmed. But I cut you, Broke said, confused. No, what you cut was an afterimage. I'm the only Soru user who can make them. Now Soruju Zanzo, Doombroke found himself completely surrounded by 10 Francises. Ha 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 ha. Come on, skeleton man, let's see if you can keep up with me, let alone hope to hit me. The 10 Francises. Broke fought desperately to keep up with the assassin, but alas, when he attacked he hit nothing but air. One of the vertical slash. Broke attempted to block it, but the sword passed straight through him as if it wasn't there. But when Broke went for a stab, it simply phased through the fake. Thwack. Against the wall, Spack Francis stabbed his sword through Broke's right eye hole. Got you now, skeleton. See how you fare when I crush your pretty skull. Whoosh. Francis' vision suddenly went green as something passed quickly through him hard. The skeleton to collapse to the ground like someone cut a puppet strings. Broke special CD, Broke's fight. Yahahaho. That sure. Broke laughed, revealing himself to be a light green astral projection. You showed me your trump card, please allow me to show mine. Broke flew over to his body. Integrate. His soul. He pointed Solid Soul at Francis one more time. To Francis' surprise, the blade looked as though it was wreathed in light green flames. Shall we dance? Soru Hyaku Zanzo, before Broke stood 100 Francises. Do you really think you can beat me, skeleton man? You had trouble taking on just 10 of these things. How are you gonna fight one? Passed over Francis despite being in, literally, 100 places at once. He felt the chill just as strong in each position, and a haunting melody filled his ears. Yo-ha-ha-ho, yo-ha-ha-ho. Yo-ha-ha-ho, yo-ha-ha-ho. Yo-ha-ha-ho, yo-ha-ha-ho. Yo-ha-ha-ho, yo-ha-ha-ho. Forgive me. After images Broke said as he walked right by Francis, his sword resting on his shoulder. When did he get behind me? Francis wondered. Green flames disappearing as he did so. He stopped the blade with about an inch left. All the Francis turned around and charged. Broke clicked just before they reached the skeletal musician. Broke quickly finished sheathing his blade, causing them all to freeze in place. Zornha. Slash. Slices appeared on Francis, from right shoulder to left hip, across his face, down his right leg, on his left hand and forearm. Blood and green flames emerged from Francis' wounds. The assassin feel that the flames were not hot, rather they were so cold they were sucking the heat right out of him. Soon he was completely flames subsided. Francis was completely frozen in a block of ice. We may just bones, Broke said as he walked over and took the key off the hook it was resting on. But the bones. Yahahaho. Skull joke, he laughed. Disco room battle. Broke versus Francis. Winner Broke. End song. I'm gonna end this now. A small ball of compressed air formed between the palms. General. Oh no you don't. Rex said. Frankie Ursa Major. Cannon. Both. They collided and began the classic struggle of which is stronger. Unfortunately the Shogun's cannon was losing. Got it, but everything power. More air began to compress between the palms. Super General Cannon. Kaboom! The blast overpowered Rex's blast and swallowed the assassin in it before he could react. Rex to the large building built into GX's wall room. Crush. The structure collapsed on top of the assassin, defeating him. Mr. Rex. Huff huff. Frank. After that final attack, that's one tough opponent down. Who's next? Frankie asked, turning to the soldiers. Many. What I thought. Battle in the plaza. Frankie versus Rex. Winner Frankie. Forgive me, said as he walked right by Francis, his sword resting on his shoulder. When did he get behind me? Francis wondered. Findle. Green flames disappearing as he did so. He stopped the blade with about an inch left. All the Francis's turned around and charged. Broke clicked just before they reached the skeletal musician. Broke quickly finished sheathing his blade, causing them all to freeze in place. Zornha. Slices appeared on Francis, from right shoulder to left hip, across his face, down his right leg, on his left hand and forearm. Blood emerged. flames emerged from Francis' wounds. The that the flames were not hot, rather they were so cold they were sucking the heat right out of him. Soon he was completely surrounded, and when the flames subsided, Francis was completely frozen in a block of ice. Bones broke, said as he walked over and took the key off the hook it was resting on. But then again, Yahahaho. Skull joke, he laughed. Disco room battle broke versus Francis. Winner broke. Buzz Buzz Chopper stood there and watched Apollo. This inside his body. He would hatch them while they were still inside and let them exit through his mouth. He was hatching them by the dozens. I don't said my insects are more than enough. He spread his arms wide, revealing hundreds of insects. There were beetles, atlas beetles, mosquitoes, dung beetles, wasps, praying mantises, and even centipedes. Each bug was a gigantic, grotesque version of ones found in the wild, the smallest ones being about the same size as Chopper's head. What will you do if I take them all out? Who stop at this guy? He would brutally torture humans without any second thought. But now he was saying that the lives of the insects he gave life to don't matter at all. To Chopper, capable of taking one of these bugs out. Each one is stronger than 10 Marine captains. Go ahead. Chopper said, I'm a monster. Chopper a monster? But he's so cute, Naruto said, watching the screen. Seriously, I'm more of a monster than he is. He's too cute to be a monster. I'm a monster all his life, accepted by no one. Originally he wanted to be human to have friends. Now I don't know that much about Chopper at all, Kurama said. Both difference is that Chopper's completely fine with it as long as he can help his friends, Naruto thought. Naruto Brendan said. Chopper reached into his backpack, he pulled out a rumble ball. Crunch rumble, he yelled, eating the drug. However, instead of turning into Monster Point, he transformed into a small lean mean version of Monster Point with hoof fingers and sharper antlers and a large amount of fur on his back. Beast Point pulling out two small devices. They looked like handles with they both had a blue stripe on them, and red triggers like they were guns. I charged at Chopper. The man reindeer's hat covered his eyes as he readied the devices. I had Usopp and the knocking rifles hard type. They shot I discovered out a small electrical shock, and if it hits the right place it can completely paralyze a target. Thonk, 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 thonk. Chopper went on a shooting spree, releasing a storm of what appeared to be needles at the armada of bugs. The as if he were dancing. The needles hit their marks without missing a single target. Insect and grace, it was almost unbelievable. The speed B point all rolled into one. Beast Point, a new form for Chopper, and it literally kicked ass. Click click. Chopper was out of needles, no problem. He disposed of the empty cartridges, tossed the rifles into the air, and pulled two more magazines out of his backpack. This time Chopper leaped into the rifles and began to shoot again, taking the rest of the insects out. Thonk thonk. Thonk thonk thonk. Apollo watched the man reindeer with great interest as he took down every last insect. I guess I underestimated you, he said as a large bulge appeared at his as quick out of his mouth came a scarab. This bug had long tusks, red wing with black designs on them. The abdomen bright yellow. This bug was exactly identical to the one in the jar. The an extremely well-built body for someone his age. But the most shocking thing was that he had 4 arms total. Each legs had an exoskeleton from the knee down. Apollo then reached up and took his sunglasses. From a distance, compound eyes, each one having 500,000 individual eyes. He hunched over and the scarab landed on his back. Its 6 legs of Apollo's head. Chop, stunned as the lower jaw was actually split hidden by his long beard, his teeth became razor sharp, and the tusks tore straight through his head coming out of his mouth as well. The scarab's abdomen exploded throwing bug juices everywhere as 2 massive insect wings. 4 spider-like appendages, each one looked like a cross praying mantis blade, and a scorpion tail emerged from where the abdomen used to be. Okay, that's rather disturbing, Naruto said looking away from the screen. Inside their shared mindscape, Kurama was upchucking in the corner. Kurama, don't do that in my head, that's more disgusting than that Apollo guy. I can't help it, it's just too disturbing. Chop monster before him. Grower, how do you like me now? The beast roared. How can you do something so awful to your own body? Chopper demanded. Growaga, my own body? This is the real me. Chopper's expression got even darker. He had to act quickly. The rum was running out quickly. Less than 2 minutes remained. Luckily, it was only monster point. Beast point didn't put as much a strain on his body. Whip Apollo charged Chopper with great speed, literally tearing apart anything in his way. Any too quick and got inside the freak's guard. Heavy shock. Kawam. Chopper delivered a powerful punch to Apollo's solar plexus. How do you like having your nervous system being thrown out of whack? The bug immediately threw 4 punches at Chopper, hitting the man reindeer in the head and throwing him across the room. That's right. Back into a brain point. Damn, the rumble ball wore off. Now I have to fight him without it, unless. Brawa. Shigan swarm. Apollo charged Chopper again, this time throwing a storm of fingers and spider legs at Chopper. Chopper in the arms, legs, back and chest before the attack ceased. Blood, arms, legs, and back. Soruga, Shigan Tsukoki Ontaru, his scorpion tail shot straight for Chopper's head. The little dodged out of the way. Powerful that it melted a lot of plants and insects without even touching them. If I use the rumble, Chopper in the head again. The little reindeer bounced off the ground once before he got kneed in the face. Shunk. Apollo's spider legs stabbed Chopper through his hands and feet, pinned him to a wall. Wham 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 wham. Apollo mercilessly beat the reindeer with his 4 fists. Chomp. Apollo bit down on Chopper's shoulder. Ah! Chopper screamed in pain. Poof. Chopper expanded his fur into a giant puffball, throwing Apollo off of himself. The poor little shoulder. Huff huff huff. He turned back into a brain point. Blood was everywhere on the little reindeer. Blam. Through Chopper's. He turned back to Apollo, who had a twisted smile on his face. Nigaupa. Never. Of eggs at Chopper from his mouth. Guard point. Cab exploded upon connecting to the massive fur. When the smoke cleared, a bloodied and slightly burned Chopper was revealed to be still standing. Insert Toriko's 21 Tau Hana. I have charge him. He's an insect, that means he has ganglions. Instead of human nervous system. Grower, die, he yelled. Chopper stood his ground. The spider legs flew at that they were literally blown apart. Snap. Apollo was once again stunned by the little reindeer. Yoruagua, you little bastard. He charged himself, arms flailing wildly. Kakuta Rosia metal, wim wim thwack pow thok wim pow. Chopper delivered a powerful barrage of iron hoofs into Apollo's exposed chest. Somewhere was even using his elbows. Each hit and pectoral muscles, wherever his hits connected. More specifically, Chopper was aiming for Apollo's largest nerve clusters, effectively shutting down the assassin's body. Kakuta double Rosia shock. Boom. Apollo's chest, releasing a small shockwave in the process. Apollo's face became a twisted contortion of pain and anguish. Every muscle ending the fight. Crash, he fell to the ground with a thunderous crash. Grata? Why don't you kill me? The immobilized parasite asked. Because I won't needlessly take a life. It's my job as a doctor to save lives. Apollo closed his eyes and passed out. The scalper caught it in a jar. Oh no, you don't. He placed the jar on a shelf while the bug attempted to get out. Ha, I win. God, blood loss, kicking in and fell over onto his back. Thank body was extremely exhausted to the point he could barely move. With great difficulty, Chopper clutched the hole in his stomach. Rummaging through it, he found what he was looking for, the bean. Thank God. The full bean. After about wounds were healed. Got up, grabbed Apollo's key and left. Battle in Chopper versus Tony Chopper. Over in the Hawk's Nest, Usopp found himself pinned down behind a large steel box. The man blam 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 blam, 5 bullets in a star formation headed right for Usopp. Himari Boshi. The young sniper 5 successfully intercepting the bullets with explosions. What's wrong, Sniper King? Why are you hiding from me? Ling and bang, it's all over. When you find him, caw. The bird. It's like he knows exactly where I am. Usopp. Oh, geez, that was close. Usopp pondered on a plan to beat this guy. Well, the caliber a bit and make you come out. Blam. That sniper flying. Several light burns were on the young man's arms, legs and back. What? Bullet headed right for him. This time Usopp successfully dodged it and hid behind another crate. Huff huff huff. Caw. Usopp lost the thought and turned to his left to see a crow looking at him. It opened its mouth, revealing a gun barrel. Oh crap. Before exploding against the wall in a massive fire and heat. That was too close. Usopp realized that there were 2 blackbirds, a crow and a raven, both hunting him without mercy. Usopp turned around. Rakuran Mamashi Boshi. This time 6 Kaizoukage Boshi were fired at the birds and they moved like a snake. But the birds were too fast and dodged the attack. All Ling could him. Shushashu, he laughed. I see you've met my little friends. Ling's voice. Raven a Tori Tori no Mi model crow. Cab and fired Midori Boshi Rafflesia. The pop green sailed towards its target. Ling it. Kamakiri Boshi, the shot sailed in an upward arc hitting the platform, though Ling vanished from sight just before it hit. Ling was snipping to the assassin. Next time the pirate pokes his head around the crate, Ling would blow it clean off. Jeppo Ling. This is how he was able to keep hitting Usopp. By alternate ricocheting almost everywhere. Gotcha, Usopp said as a grin crept on his face. His pop green entire room. Sniff sniff, oh my god, what the hell is that horrendous stench? It Giles watched his bird pistols get a good whiff of the smell. Their eyes. You'll pay for that bastard. Ling good. Quickly find another crate, ignoring the pain in his foot, and the opportune moment to end this. Ling on the other hand was just blindly shooting. The smell had controllably restricting his sight and screwing with his judgment. Now Usopp came out of his hiding spot, slingshot pulled back ready to fire. There you over the wall, it's going to be amazing. Both snipers were looking at each other through their weapons. Now all that Dakuro Bakuhatsu, so Usopp fired another seed milliseconds before Ling. Click. Death dials he shot next to Ling. What the? Ling questioned as a new smell crept into his nose. Is that covered in burns? Even his fingers were bent in obscure positions from the blast. He was pissed. He was here, Usopp yelled, drawing back a giant version of his Kuro Kabuto. Ling turned. Said Impact Wolf Pack. He out of grass. Boom boom boom. Him in out of the tower. You're dead, punk. Rankyaku, Ling launched a wave of compressed air at Usopp, who dodged and drew his slingshot back one last time. This is Ryuboshi. To the base of the tower. Huff 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 and Usopp. Spandam was even more stunned as he watched the Straw Hats defeated 4 agents of CP0. Teeth, this is impossible. He stuttered the game. Marines, he called out as he his hand down on the pink snail with bright red stripes. Yes sir. Take. Sir, the Marine was confused. Is there something wrong? Is there something wrong? Yes, there is some. Members of CP0 were just defeated. I'm counting that as funny business, so we need to get the hell out of here before the base blows up in half an hour. B-Butts just going to blow the base up. Blam, Spandam just shot the man in the chest, killing him. You dare? CP0 was getting frantic. He just killed the captain. Then tell someone who I haven't killed yet. There's transponder snail on his desk. What the? How long has that been on? The soul. Damn. Oh, this is not Director Spandam. This is the pirate Straw Hat Luffy. Liar. The Marine time disappears in a maelstrom of fire.